Hello! Greetings, viewers. Welcome to another stream for Train Simulator 2021 this week. I had a mental blank there for a moment. We're going to be building a scenario this week, so welcome along. I hope you find this useful. Now, I'm going to do a relatively simple scenario because I just want to give people the idea of how these things actually happen. I'm just making sure I've got audio going out in the stream. It looks like I do. Let me know if I don't. So if you have any questions during the stream, please feel free to ask. And let's get going. So I've just hit the build button from the main screen. And we're coming to scenario because I want to build a scenario. You can also build routes, but I'll be honest with you, I have no idea how to do that. I've ended up in there by accident and gone, ooh, look at all this stuff. Interestingly, the scenario build is actually kind of simple. So I've picked Sacramento Northern South End only because I know this route pretty well and I've already built a few scenarios for it. More than it looks like there because I've built other ones, but that's after a reinstall, you don't necessarily get these things back. So we're going to make a new one. And let's call it SN Interurban. And we'll just call it Demo. Why not? Sounds like a training session. Oh, wait, it is. And I want to start it at Port Chicago. So we'll just create that. And now we wait. And it loads up the editor. Because it actually is the same editor you use to build routes. It's just got some stuff turned off. All right. So the first thing we need to do is set up this information. So we're doing a demo scenario. And we'll use the same text here. This is the briefing for the driver. Drive stuff someplace. That'll do. We don't need to fill that one out, but I do have some dates in mind here. So I'm going to keep the 1st of July, but I want 19, what did I pick? 30. And let's just put it at 2. And we're going to aim for about 30 minutes for this one. It may not work out. We can edit that later. And I'm going to kick this one off at 6:50 a.m. And let's have some clouds because clear is boring. And maybe some autumn. And we're going to go for electric. And of these ones, you can force the simple controls or you can force the complex controls. Or expert controls. I don't do either. I let the player choose. But I do like to start in the cab. So I want to kick that one off. And this one's whether it starts, it's already moving when you start. I generally don't do that. All right, that's it for setting up that part of the scenario. So let's just pull back a bit and have a look around. So we're at Port Chicago. Interestingly, even though it's the Sacramento Northern route, it's put me smack in the middle of the Union Pacific tracks, which you can actually put trains on them. Your interurbans won't work, but you can certainly put trains on them. So let's come over here. Why don't we visit the cows? Hello, cow. How are you this morning? All right, I'm an idiot. I don't mind. Let's just go up in the air a little bit. Now, this is Port Chicago Station. That's Michael on chat, if people are wondering who that disembodied voice was that was giggling then. Sounds like we've got another person who wants to come in on chat. It's Roy. Hello, Roy.
Looks like Roy.
It is indeed Roy. So, we're looking at...
Morning, everyone.
Morning, Roy. Welcome along. We've got Michael in the chat as well. If other people are interested in joining the chat, send me a PM via my website. The link's in the bio on YouTube. Now, this is Port Chicago Station, and we're going to start off with this long green thing with a thing sticking out of it. That's a platform marker. So we're going to put trains there. So that's where you can start and stop things, and you can add your own platform markers, and we will be doing that in part of this scenario. So the first thing I want to do is pick a train. So there's so many controls in this thing. Really, really horrible and complex. And hopefully I've got... let me kill Rail Driver. We don't need Rail Driver today. There we go. Rail Driver's gone. Now you'll be able to see everything. So we're only going to use a few of these controls. And we're going to keep this pretty simple. So I want to put on a consist, and I want to put on a interurban. So the other thing is you can put on a locomotive, or engines and tenders that it calls it. Lovely British things, but it's a locomotive. We all know that. And rolling stock. Well, they've gotten around the concept of, is it a wagon, is it a carriage, is it a car? It's rolling stock. I like rolling stock. And consists, and we'll go into some of the other stuff later, but first up, consists. Let's put a single interurban over there into that platform. Now, which way is that facing? I think that's facing, it might be facing the right way, actually. I think it is. Yeah, it is. Where's our driver, though? That'll tell me. No, it's facing the wrong way. Okay, because I can see our driver in the windows there. So let's reverse this thing. Clunk. All right, so we should have a driver up this end now. There he is. Okay, good. That's our first bit of rolling stock placed. So let's make that a player train. So I'll put an instruction on it. And I've only done that because now I can go into the timetable view. So I've added a driver to this thing, and that means that it will actually be active in the game. If you put rolling stock around the place, whether it be locomotives or trains or bits of trains or whatever, if you don't put a driver on it, it's static and it just sits there. They can still get in the way, but they do just sit there. So let's just have a look at our timetable. Service 1, that's pretty boring. Interurban to Concord. And we actually don't want this one to go at 6:50. We want this one to go at 7 o'clock. And it is... That should be player train, I think, from memory. And we want it to be a passenger service. I was hoping the mouse over would work on those. There we go. It does now. So yeah, that sets it to be the one that the player's going to use. The others are AI. And this just tells it that it's unloaded at start. I actually thought that was passenger consist, but no. That's fine. So let's drop this down, and we want this to be a stopping passenger. Let's have a look at that list again, though. These things have priorities. This is really what these are for. And the dispatch or signaling system running in the game uses these to some extent to decide which traffic wins when there's a conflict. It doesn't always work really well, but it's a start. I usually find I end up setting all the times myself. Okay, so we can close this particular window. And now I want to set a final destination because that's kind of important. Now there's two ways to do this. You can select from this big long list here, or you can do it on the map. And since Concord's a fair way away on the map, let's just select it from the list because that will be quicker. Let's pick platform 1. I think that's the one in the station platform. And we want to unload passengers here. Actually, it's not letting me tick and unload. Okay, that's fine. Now, that'll do. That's enough for that particular train at the moment. So let's get out of the timetable view. So that one now has a single instruction on it. Now we want to add another instruction to this guy, because if we pop back to the map, way down the track down here somewhere, there is a stop westbound and there's a station. So let's put on two instructions. Let's put on that we're going to stop at Clyde. So I've just done a control click and this little play thing, and now hopefully when I go back to the 3D world, we'll be there. No. Okay. One thing you'll discover about this game, if anything, the scenario editor is unpredictable. But that's okay. All right, let's go back into our timetable and let's add some stops. So we want to add... I've got to remember which ones these are. It's that one. So that's a stop at destination. So we pop that in, and it already knows that this one's our final, and it's very important to put your final one in before you put any others in to avoid it getting confused. So we want to stop at Clyde. You can see it there on the map. Are we allowed to unload passengers there? No, we're not. Okay. All right, we're going to be stopping at Clyde, so that's in there now. And the next thing we need to do on the map where our train crosses this other track here, the interurbans have to stop, but the game won't make you do that, so you put an instruction in to do it. So we'll put that in. Now you could also do that as a go via, but that doesn't force the player to stop, and we really want them to stop. So we come down here. You can type into this list and have it pre-populate too. I find that has variable workability, and we're looking at stop westbound. So that's the one we want, because we are travelling west. Now the question is, no, I've picked the wrong one. See, that's the SP railroad crossing. That's further down the line. We want the BNRC. Glad I noticed that. Now, of course, it won't let me change it. Come on. Come on. There we go. BNRC. Stop westbound BNRC. That's the right one. That's better. And we don't do anything with passengers there. And I think that's... Oh, why don't we stop as OMA as well? Now, some of these you can stop at, and some of them you can't. So we'll see if these are the ones that lets you. We might have to put markers in, but we'll see. MNOP. Alphabet. OMA. There we go. We're going to stop at OMA. And we won't stop at Adeline. We'll blast through Adeline, and we will eventually turn up here. So we're actually going to turn up on Concord Platform 1. That's okay. We'll leave that as it is. Now, let's go and look at our tracks, because the next thing I want to do is look at points. So Port Chicago is not set for us to go out, which is good. I want to leave that way, because we're going to add another service. And at the other end, I want to actually set that the other way, if it'll let me. Oh, hang on. Of course, I'm in timetable mode. Back to the map when I can actually use it. These are all things that you go through when you're trying to build scenarios. See, I've just clicked that point there to set this track to track 1. So our train's going to be sitting in track 2, and we're going to be going from right to left. So there's our train there, that blue thing. And we're going to be putting something else in Port Chicago that leaves at the same time we do, but leaves in the other direction. So if I just go back to Port Chicago now, happily sitting there. Now you notice on top of our loco, just before I put the other service in, you notice how we've got some more icons on the top. They're the instructions that I put on. So they're 3 stopping places. Now you can put on all sorts of instructions to do things, but we'll keep this simple for this particular one. We might do a more advanced one if people seem interested in that. If anybody has any questions, feel free to drop them into the chat. Now, for our next one, we're still on consist, so it's still highlighted. Let's put in a... Now, we're 1930, so pre-war we want to have, but we don't want a single motor. That's boring. We want to have a pre-war 3 gondola coal cars. How about 3 gondolas? We haven't got any that are specifically coal, but that'll do. Let's plonk him on there. Now, let's have a look at our little train there. So we've got those. We need one more thing for an American train at this time. So we're going to pick rolling stock, because we need a caboose.
The caboose.
Ah, I've got 2. How did I get 2? Ah, back to 1. Good. Yes, you have to have a caboose for American trains. It's kind of necessary. So let me just try and get down lower. There's our loco, and it's in the pre-war scheme, which is good. And there's no instructions on him yet. Now, let's just have a look at our bits and pieces. You're going to let me slide out the panel? Yes, you are. So, do we want cargo in here? And the answer is yes, because this train's taking coal to the steel plant. Now, you notice you can change the number. So, 56379, it's 56379. So, I could change that to 84. Let's hope that's not already in the list, because I didn't look. And it changes on the game. Now, this is really handy when you're building up trains, particularly if you're doing multi-part scenarios and you want the same train to appear somewhere else. So, let's have a look at this one now, and let's load him, because this train's entire reason of being is take coal to a steel plant. So we're just setting that up. So we've now got 3 loaded hoppers and a caboose. So now we'll come back to our train. Now, which way is he facing? Did I get lucky? I probably should have because the consist's on the back. I can't actually see a driver in this one. No, I can't see him in there. But let's just assume we got lucky. So we want to put some instructions on this guy now because we want to make him a AI train. Oops, I have to click that and then put it on there. So we've got that in there. Now let's go into timetable mode for him. And we want to pick, it'll be service 1. We'll rename that. And we'll call that Call to Pittsburgh. And this one is a freight. It's just a standard freight. And we picked 7 o'clock for our departure, so let's make this guy depart at the same time. And this one isn't a player train, so we won't tick that. And it doesn't have passengers, so we don't want to unload it. So I don't know why that's people, actually, because I think it applies to freight too. So we want to have it loaded and stay the way it is. So we'll add on our final. Now, I'm not actually going to bother sending it all the way to Pittsburgh because that just wastes memory and resources because there's not much point. Just up the hill from here, there's another station which I'm going to pick. Which is... Where is it? Where's it hiding? No, actually, let's send it all the way. Why not? But I am going to send it all the way this time to the Pittsburgh coal sighting. But if you're building scenarios, always think about how much of the computer's resources you're using, because I've got a bit of a gaming beast. It doesn't really matter to me, but a lot of people play this on really low-end machines, and the less you can get the scenario to do in the background for things the player never sees or does, the better. So let's leave him alone now. He's done. Now, the other thing I want to do, and this is where it's going to start getting just a tiny bit tricky. We're going to head down the line, down this way. And this may or may not work. Because what I want to do is I want to put another... What did I set our departures? 7 o'clock. Let me go back into timetable mode for just a minute. I need to change this guy. I need this guy to run out at 6:50. Let's make it 52. That'll do. So we'll see him leave, and we'll still have to sit there for a little while because we're a train. Now, I've done that because what I want to do is I want to put another interurban. Oops, come on, back up a little bit. Controls are very finicky. I want to put another interurban consist here. And let's just have another single unit. Let's just keep it simple. Now, he's facing the right way this time, I think, for what I want to do. Let's just have a look. Can we see a driver in there? Yep, can see a driver in there, so all good. So, let's just click on him and put a driver on him. And we want to give this driver some instructions now, so we'll go back into timetable mode. And this will be called Service 1 again, because the game's very imaginative. So he's going to come in. Yeah, 6:50 will probably do. He'll end up sitting there for a little while, but... and this is where I'm going to start getting error messages too, because this guy's a passenger train, and I'm about to tell him to go somewhere where there's already a train. Actually, just get rid of that because I want a final destination. We're just going to stop him in our station. There's no point sending him further. So we're going to send him on to track 2. Now, there's already a train in track 2, but that's okay. The game will immediately start whining at me in a moment. In fact, it already is. Port Chicago, track 2 east. Is that going to put it right in the station? It's probably not what I want, actually. I probably want Port Chicago. Come on, list. Port Chicago. So that's this one here. You can just see the text underneath the other text there. It says Port Chicago. And the game stopped whining at me. That's good. That's pleasing. Now, sometimes it figures out that of your trains, so this one's sitting here, sometimes it figures out that your trains are... going to get in each other's way, and sometimes it doesn't. Looks like it has this time, which is good. So if we want to head a bit further down the line, why can't I turn sideways? This is going to make life interesting. No, it literally won't let me. It's stuck. All right. That's okay. What we might do actually is play what we've got and see how that goes. So you'll notice that there's things down here which let you play fast. So you can play 2 times, 4 times, 8 times, 16 times, or 32 times. What I'd really suggest to you is don't. And the other thing I'd suggest to you is never play it straight out of here. Because if you play it straight out of the editor and you finish it, it'll actually remember where you were up to. So when you come back into the editor, it's already finished. That's not ideal, particularly if you want to publish it. If you want to just play it once, that's probably okay. But if you want to play it more than once... Now, sadly, the only way out of here is to actually do drive. So we'll say, yes, we want to save our changes. But as soon as it loads, we're going to jump out of here. And we're going to go restart. Now it'll actually work. So let's just pop outside. So we've got our interurban sitting there. We're not due to go out for a little while. And we've got the other AI train sitting here. He should leave in about 2 minutes' time. So we should see that. I probably should have made these times quicker, shouldn't I? And then we wouldn't have to wait. So we've already been told that we can go down to Clyde, but we can't really, because if we travel along here, if I can make my mouse behave itself, come on, you. I won't go that way. All right, let's go up in the air. Right, now I won't get stuck on anything, because I want to go this way. Straight back into it. Good on you, game. Thanks for being predictable today. All right. I don't know, it's actually going to let me go there. It seems to be constraining me to Port Chicago, which is a little bit weird. But anyway, we'll leave that as it is. So we're almost at the time where this train's going to leave. And sitting out down around the corner here, there's another interurban, which we should see come in. So let's just pull back a little bit. Now, this isn't an ideal player experience at the moment because we're going to sit here and wait and wait and wait. But all I want to do is see that these two trains, this train leaves and the other one comes in. In fact, is that our other one sitting just down around the corner down there? Looks like it might be. So we're almost there. 20 more seconds. It'd be good if there was a way to speed up time, but there isn't. That's okay. Kinda. Or not, depending on your point of view. Some train simulator games do have a time speed up method. World of Subways comes to mind. You can whack the tab key and everything goes faster. There he goes. So he's immediately woken up and he's leaving. So we'll let him sail off into the sunrise there. Now I just want to make sure he gets out, so I'll keep watching him. So what we might do is change that time and make that a bit earlier so that we don't have to wait so long. Because there's just as a bit of a golden rule for scenario builders, that was only a 2-minute wait. That's not too bad. But if you make people wait, they'll quit. So did he get out through the signals or not? I think he did. So we should see another interurban appear very shortly. Let's just have a look at the map. Yep, so there's one interurban. It's coming in now. The other guy's heading off up the line, so let's just go back. So we'll see this other guy appear shortly. There he is. You can just see him up in the corner up there. You can hear him now too. So he will come into our station and arrive in here, and then we can go. We should actually wait for our departure time, but close enough. Now, one of the reasons why you play things is to get an idea how long things do take, and to know that we'll be able to leave here So my guess of 655 actually wasn't bad. So we could probably leave it 654 and it would be okay. But let's just jump into our cab. And we want to make sure that we can actually get out of here. So we should turn on some lights. And we don't need any wipers. Brakes are all off. That's loud. Now I have a faint suspicion we're going to get up here and see a red signal. Let's see if the AI is smart enough to have changed the points for us. That was a bit short. Not quite by the rules, but it'll do. Now, soon we'll see what this signal is. I could have looked on the map, but this is more fun, isn't it?
Yep.
Zoom in. Because I reckon that looks like it's pretty much red. Alright, so what we're going to have to do is change our points. So I'll just flip that. And our signal should... there's going to be two sets of points here, isn't there? Alright, we'll stop. There's two sets. Sigh. So I changed one of them. But I have to change that one. And now that signal will go green. There it goes. Alright. Now we will escape Port Chicago. Let's just make sure our stops work before we do anything else. I was just thinking I don't have to obey the American Horn Rule 14L because this is before it came in. It's a good thing about picking 1930. So we're almost at Clyde. I do like the water in Train Simulator. If you haven't played this route before, it's an old one from DTG. And it's usually very cheap. But it's a good route. It's good to play with. Let's just jump back into our cab since we're nearly there. Now, the other lesson I've learned here is starting it so late in the day in autumn means it's dark. A bit hard to see. But that's okay. I sit in an extremely bright room, and when the games are a bit hard to see, it's problematic. I'd love to do something about the extremely bright room, but my wife, for some reason, doesn't want black curtains. She kind of hates curtains. Now I have to stop where the stop marker is, so it's a little bit beyond the station. It's probably because this thing's made for longer trains, and we're just one. So we're nearly there. Passengers are going, "Oi, it's my stop." Alright, now we are now loading passengers, if there are any. Popular place. Let's count them. None. Okay. Now, we can change the length...
0, yep.
Yep, definitely 0. We can change the length of these stops. So they default to 30 seconds. You can set them to almost anything you want above 0. So we've finished that stop. Now we have to do the mandatory stop at the crossing. And if you read up on this route, you'll discover that it had mandatory stops because they didn't have any signalling with the other railways. And the other railways took priority. It's good the mouse is working now to be able to pan around. Alright, let's just bump back into the cab and start slowing down a lot. Now, if you got really adventurous in your scenario, and you had something like the North American Freight Pack, if you were building a scenario for yourself, feel free to add anything you want from any pack you want. But if you're building scenarios for other people to play and you're going to upload them to Workshop, just bear in mind that everything you put in, they have to have. So that might limit your audience a little bit. Alright, so we stop here. Same with this stop. So I didn't set this up any different to a station stop when I put it in. So we can set the time here as well. And the reality is the guy should probably get out and have a look up the line that way and have a look up the line that way because it's obscured by trees. So you'd actually have to get out. Now, in this game, there is a portal just up there. You could put a train in so that it came across your path. Be careful with that to make sure you time it right. So we're allowed to go now to Omer. So off we go. And one thing I certainly encourage is test, test, test. You will get so sick of your scenario by the end of all your testing. But if you don't do it, you're asking the first players that come across it on Workshop to do your testing for you. And I have put up a scenario that didn't work once, and its feedback is swift and not friendly and generally quite harsh. Some people are helpful and nice about it, some people not so much. So we will publish this one today, just because it's a scenario. People will like to play it. I was wondering why there was a whistle board for a bridge. There's a crossing. Half a mile out of Omer now. I think I can see it in the distance there. Now it's going to put me way past Omer again. So if we cared about that, we could actually put in our own stopping points, and I might do that just to show you what it's like. 0.1 will do. So if I went to 0, it would have been up near this pole. So we'll leave that one alone. But I'll show you how to do it. I like the windmill. Alright, time to go to Concord. And I'm pretty sure we had the same passenger count there. I thought this thing had 2 whistles. It does. Now, this is the station we were skipping. Be funny if there was someone there. Now we're almost coming into Concord. Let's get my mouse pointer out of the way. A little bit of brakes. And the other thing I'd suggest when you're building scenarios is keep them short. There certainly are people that love really, really, really long ones, but my most popular ones have always been my shorter ones that are around half an hour to 45 minutes at most. Excuse me. It just seemed to be what people like to play. And you've also got to remember your own testing effort. So if you make a scenario that's 3 hours long, you have to drive it over and over and over again. They're mighty big houses for 1930. I was thinking of these ones over here. They're massive. Alright, so almost into Concord Station. So there's some interesting things around Concord that we can play with. We could put some trains in around here. I didn't actually check to see if these points were set right. We could be in for a surprise. No, we're going straight. All good. There's a cattle yard up here that we could put some things into. These ones. No. Looks like the game's been nice to me. Look, actual passengers. Oh, there we go. We have completed the scenario successfully without quite getting as far in as I would have liked to, but that's okay. Now, we know that one works, so let's go back to the main menu, back to build, and this is something that I like to do regularly. So we've done our interurban demo. I'm going to clone that, and I'm just going to call it copy 1 first cut. Working. And I'm going to keep that in case I break it now. So let's go back into Interurban Demo and edit that again. Just wait for the editor to load up. Now, the reason I make copies, I suppose anyone that's in the game of IT knows that making backups is a good idea, because this thing doesn't have any kind of source control and you are effectively programming. It just makes me nervous if we don't have anything. So what I'm going to do is now just set the text a little more, because it's kind of interesting. Short run. Port Chicago to Concord. And we use that same text here. You don't have to, you can use different text, but I'm lazy. And we should probably come up with something nicer for this. Okay, so we've set those things. Now, I have to leave that one's time alone, the 6:50 start, because we've got a service that runs earlier than that, so I can't change that because it'll barf, basically. So what we'll do is have a look at our timetable. And we've got our Cole to Pittsburgh. He's fine. So he's leaving at 6:52. Actually, we could change that to 6:51, I guess. So we'll change that one. Let's have a look at the Interurban that's in the way. Now, he turned up at a pretty good time, because he turned up while the other one was still sitting in the station. So I think we might actually leave that one alone. But let's have a look at ours, our passenger train. So we've got a departure time at 7 o'clock. That's a bit silly. The other stuff was all over and done with at 6:54. So let's put in, it was about 6:54 in 40 seconds. So let's put in 6:55 for ours. And that should automatically change all my other times. Yay! And no errors. Yay! When you get errors, you'll see little icons turn up down here. There's two of them. One of them did appear earlier in this setup. There's a warning. You can, most of the time, ignore the warnings, but have a look at it. So most of the time it's telling you that there's something in the way, but if you know that thing's going to move by the time it gets there, you can ignore that warning. If you get strange things happening, so I like to make scenarios where all sorts of strange things get done. So you might detach your locomotive, go into another siding, pick up some more cars, bring them back, put them on your train, and then go somewhere else. You might even leave some of your existing train behind there. The game copes okay with that kind of concept, but it's imperfect. All right, so let's start adding a bit more interest. Let's come down into Concord itself. Now, I could put things in the cattle yards out here, but you probably wouldn't actually see them if I did. So what I might do is put some moo cars in here. So we'll add just some cars, and we should have a cattle car. I think it's that one. So let's just control, click, do that, and then hopefully we'll be... No. Come on. No. This is going well, isn't it? That should put me there in the map. Yeah, it's not that one. It's definitely that one. No, it's just not going to do it. That's not helpful. All right, we'll just go there. Let's do it the hard way, game.
Got a mind of its own.
Oh, it does sometimes. There's all the places we went through. Yeah. Michael and I were chatting just before we started, and this game has its roots in a long, long time ago. I've opened past Concord. And sometimes you just have to put up with that because it just does stuff. All right, so that's the cattle yards I was talking about up there, but you won't be able to see them from your train, so there's not much point doing that. So we could put something in here. So that's where I was going to put some cattle cars. So hopefully it will let me do this. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4. That'll do. That's actually on the track. And it's not blocking a road. That's good. So you'll be able to see that from your train. Now what we can do is put in something else over here. So if we put in over next to this freight shed maybe. And this is purely static stuff. It's not going to do anything, but it just adds some interest. So let's put in a boxcar. Let's put in a couple of boxcars. There we go. That's about the right size for the platform. Yeah, that'll do. So we'll leave those sitting there. Now, the other thing I want to try is I want to take our train through Concord. So I actually want to see if I can change that endpoint now. This sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. So what we want to do is go through Concord. There's Kilgore. No, it's an awfully long way to the next big one, isn't it? That's the Meanart Y. Because I want to put in a meet. Why don't we take it there? Los Juntos. Los Juntos? I don't know Spanish very well. So let's try and take it there. Let's see if it'll let us. Yes, excellent. All right, so now it looks like a relatively good time too, and it's about a 15-minute play session, so that's pretty good. Now we need to do some other things though. So let's come back up here, and we need to do them in the right order, or it'll get confused. So we're in Concord, we're going to leave Concord, we're going to come down here. First up, let's just have a look at what the tracks are doing in Concord. So we're coming into platform 1 here. That's set for us, that's set for us, and onto the main line. So we just leave all that alone. I was just looking at the points there. Let's zoom out again. We should probably stop at Kilgore, don't you think? That'd be nice. We can pick up some more unpassengers. Now, if you want to force it to have passengers in various places where the game doesn't normally, and let's change this to, let's make it 5 seconds. So that's that stopping time. Remember I said you could change the stopping times? I might go back and do that on a few others as well. So this stopping time at Clyde, where no one got in, let's make that 5 seconds as well, because there wasn't anyone. And you'll notice it's changing the times in the background there. And we'll do the same thing for this stop that's at the railway crossing. Always tab out of the fields in Train Simulator, by the way, and you see it updated the timetable. And then we stopped at Oma, so we'll set that for 5 seconds as well. Whenever I start editing this stuff, it starts making me nervous that it's going to crash, because it often does. All right, so let's get back onto our little map here, and let's put some more in. So why don't we have a meet here? So we've got that's all set for us. We come through there, come through the outside of the Y, and we're going to come into Meanart West. So I want to force that. I want to force it to go into Meanart West, Meanart Main W. So I'm going to put in a go via, if I can remember which one it is. Because I don't want to stop there. I just want to go through it. It's not a marshal. Maybe we'll have to do a stop. Don't pick up passengers. Why don't I have a go via in here, Michael? Or is it that one? Ha!
I haven't got a clue.
It's because I wasn't looking at the right thing. That's why. EI? Of course you're not going to find it. That'd be useful. All right, let's do it the hard way. Scroll, scroll, scroll. MNOP. Mean up passing west. So that's the one we want. Main, and we want main west. So let's come out of there now. So we've got our go via in there. And we need to put in one more thing before we do the next bit. So actually, let's put in two things. Let's do a stop at Bancroft. And I know there's no point telling it to pick up passengers because there aren't any. And we'll make that another very quick stop. Tab out of there. And then we have to put this stop in for the crossing just before we get to Los Chances. So let's put that in. And this is our stop. Stop westbound SPRR crossing. So that's the same as that text. So that's the one we want. And we'll make that a short stop as well. Now, if we have a look at our times, we've got Kilgore at 7:04 and then Bancroft at 7:10. So there's a bit of time between those. Now, Bancroft is pretty close to Minot West, so it'll be about the same time. So if we put another train in here, let's come out of the timetable editor, go back into the map, and we want to go down to Minot because we're going to put in a meet. Now I find this is the most common time the game crashes, when you try and put in a meet. So let's just try and do that. Worked, I think.
That's why you should save frequently.
Yes. I was going to say that worked, but it didn't, so we're going to do it the hard way. At least I can do this. And this is where the Y is, so this is where we're going to have our meet. We're going to put another train. So we're coming into the furthest track, the one over there. So I'm going to put another train here on this one. So let's just pick a consist and let's just have one on a motor and 5 boxcars. You'll do. And you're even facing the right way. I want to put you there so you don't fail any signals. Placement is relatively important. If there is a marker, I try and put the loco on the marker, and that way it seems to limit the strange things that happen. Now, we could just leave that there as some static prettiness if we wanted to, but I'd much rather put a driver on it. And let's pop into service mode now. So our Bancroft time is 7:10, so why don't we have him departing... let's make it 7:09 and 50, because that's about, it's almost a minute, so maybe 7:09 and 45. Let's try 7:09 and 45, and then he'll end up sitting at that signal waiting for us to come through, because he can't go that way because we're on that track. Now, you've got to be careful to not generate too much of a conflict. Little conflicts are okay, the game copes with that, but if you generate a massive conflict, you will end up meeting in the middle of this track section somewhere, and that would be unexciting. So we're going to do 7:09 and 45. Let's try that. I don't see him sitting there in my list. All right. I did put a driver on him. Let's try and get him in this way. And let's put a final destination on him. So we got... Can't have seconds. I say 7:10. Does that sound about right? 7:09. He's going to be a freight. And we're going to send him... You're not going to let me do that, are you? All right. Let's come out of there then. And let's try and go back into the timetable now. Hopefully he's there. Yes. Freight meet. There he is. And we can put his final on for him. Now we're going to not take him very far because we don't need to. Let's take him to Kilgore. We'll just leave him there. The other problem with getting smart and try and take it to a proper destination is your trains start to pile up around the place and the game can get confused by that and you start getting static content warnings. So let's save that and jump out of there. Now, hopefully this will all go relatively well. So we've changed some stopping times. We've added some stopping points. Let me make sure I did all of those. For our service, we've added a new meet just to make it interesting. And adding other content is what makes the gameplay interesting. It's, well, for me it does. I like to see other things. I don't like these big long end-to-end runs where you never see another train. I like to see things a bit busy. Even in this particular time frame in 1930 where they probably had one train a day, that's probably not very realistic. So we've got our freight meet. He's set up. Looks like a reasonable time. No, 7:09 is probably a bit early. Let's just have a look at our timetable. Make sure. So and we're going to have to rename him now too because he doesn't go to Concord anymore. Interurban going west. Let's just keep it simple. And we were going to change our start time too, weren't we? To 6:54. I actually thought I'd done that, but I guess not. Come on, let me out of the field. No errors. Yay. Yeah, his departure time will probably be okay. He'll end up sitting at that signal for a while, but that'll be okay. All right, let's save that. And let's play it. See how we go. Oh, there's one thing I did tell you I was going to show you, which was to put in new markers. So let's put a marker in somewhere. Where are we going to do this? Let's put it up here. Somewhere it won't get in the way of our scenario. So if you want to stop at a place where there's no marker, you just come into the track infrastructure and you can put in a siding marker or a platform marker, or you can make a new place where the game can start from. So let's put in a siding marker because that's the most logical thing. So you click it and then you drag the ends to make it as long as you want. And then, if it'll let you, come on, you can do it. Come on, there we go. We would call this Maynard extra stop, and it's not on the main, it's on the siding. And we can leave that as that. So what's that's done is it's added a new marker that we can now use in things. So if I had a look in the timetable mode, for example, and this is tempting fate, but let's do this. Let's do the freight meet. I could actually, in my list here, I could actually change it to that one. I'm not going to because it'll blow up. But so Maynard extra stop siding is now turned up there. So we could do that if we wanted to. But like I said, I won't because I know what it'll do. It's never a good idea to change the starting point, and even changing the stopping point's a little bit iffy, but we got away with it when we did it to the Concord one. So that's a marker. Now this is sitting in the scenario. You can also create new ones that sit in the route, but if you create new ones that sit in the route, you have to publish the route as well. Now, I've always been a little bit weird in the concept of taking someone else's route, changing it and publishing it. It doesn't sit right with me. I know the game lets you, but it just doesn't quite sit right. I'd rather people play the default route as it is without me putting any add-ins. But let's play this thing. And just remember an emphasis, don't ever touch these. And if you do accidentally touch one of these, press that button. Very, very important. It takes you back to the start of the scenario. If you don't press that button and you save, it remembers where you were. And all your work is lost. And there's apparently absolutely no way whatsoever to fix it, which is sad. So we're going to save. We're going into drive. And same as before, straight away restart. And the reason you do that is the game doesn't crash as often if you restart straight away. If you drive from the scenario planner, it often crashes. So we're back in here, and we should see this guy depart a little bit earlier now. So I think we changed his time. At least I hope we did.
I think you did.
So we would... I haven't put any briefing notes or anything like that for the player, but normally they'd be a bit confused, like, why am I sitting around here? What am I doing? Why am I doing it? Hey, is this guy getting in? Let's see if he gets in. No. I might actually have to put in some pickup passenger instructions. I don't think I've ever seen a passenger in Port Chicago before. No, well, that's okay. So we can add those on our next iteration. Let's just make sure these things work first. So I think we need to make him go a lot earlier. So there he goes at 6:51. So I'm just going to grab a pen and start writing some stuff down. And the reason you give the players some briefing is so that they know why they're just sitting around there. So now our other guy should come in. So if we just check the map, we should see... Where are we? Center on player. We should see our other guy moving now. No, he's still sitting down there at the signal. There he goes. He started to move now. So you had to wait for that train to clear that signal by the looks of it. That makes sense. Now, when I say about the game being unpredictable, you may notice we just came out of the map and came back to the game. I didn't do that. It just did that by itself. But our little guy's coming in down there. So just while he's coming in, we may as well get set to go. He gets passengers. I'm jealous now. All right, off we go. Going from 0 to 18 miles an hour then, I think everybody had to pick up all their coffee off the floor. Let's just go and see what the points are doing. So remember, we had to change them. So we'll just change that, and now we'll get a green signal when we get down the end there. One of the things I've never figured out how to do without writing scripting is to make points change after another train's gone through. I know you can do it writing Lua script, but I don't want to get into Lua script today. It's probably a bit much for a first effort tutorial. So we've got a green signal, that's good. Heading for Clyde again. Just making sure we wake everybody up just before 7 o'clock. Nearly there. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Clyde. If there was anybody on my train, it is now time for you to get off. Now, interestingly, I've set that time for 5 seconds. You know, it's raced up to the end of the 5 seconds, but it's doing another thing that I've seen the game do occasionally. It's like, nah, I'm going to make you wait anyway. Wasn't the full 20 seconds, though, at least. All right, now we have a stop at our westbound crossing. Slowed down a little bit early. Wait for our timer. So that's another one. The timer's run for its 5 seconds, but it's still going to make me sit here for another... So that's another 5. That's another 10. What if there's a minimum stop time of 10 seconds? The other thing you find as you get into your testing is you just drive faster and faster and faster to get it over with. Good enough. All the passengers are now getting off the floor. If there are any. Are there any? Empty. I feel like this on the tourist railway that I'm a volunteer on sometimes.
Work on adding some passengers next time.
Oh, we might do that, Roy. Now employing light speed. Now that's interesting. That says stop at Kilgore, but Concord's next. Well, I already know something's wrong. So I'm going to jump out of there. Because we've got the stop in the wrong order. So there's no point finishing that test. Now I'm not going to copy it again because we didn't have a working one. So let's just play our... That's what we ended up calling it. Let's just edit that one. There's no point backing up something that doesn't work. All right, now let's just jump into the timetable and let's see what happened. Interurban going west. What happened to my Concord stop? It's gone. All right. Now this is... Oh, I know what happened. This is where it's going to get a bit hairy. All right. Let's add a passenger stop. And we're going to put it at Concord. Concord Platform 1, which is where we were before. Now watch the hairiness commence. Because we have to put that in the right place. Before Kilgore. And we will leave those other ones alone because there's no passengers there anyway. So they'll be fine. So we'll just leave all those as they are. But something I do want to do is I want to add a briefing. And let's just move that right to the top. I'm terrible at writing these things. These other things you can do, you can force trains to stop, you can force wheel slip, you can put in events, and this can be a message or a script. So I'm putting in a message. So we'll put that in there, and did we get any warnings? No, so let's save that. Because that might actually be it. So if this drives through okay, we'll... it works. No spelling mistakes. Good. So let's just restart that. Follow the golden rules. What's really funny about the golden rules is that our friends at Dovetail on their own streams go, yeah, it's bugs, just do it this way, it'll work fine. And how long's this game been out? It is almost 20 years. And they haven't fixed it. I kind of get why. Something this big in C++ would be a little bit of a nightmare to find that stray pointer that might have happened 2 hours before it actually crashed. Do you remember C++, Roy? Yes. Strange things happen.
Yes, I remember that.
Yes. Today's developers live in a protected world where they fill out fields and make instructions.
70% of things that will never get fixed.
Yep. Indeed. The good old 80-20 rule. Oh, there goes our freight.
Good old 80-20 rule, yep.
Yep, so that's better. He's going at 6:51 now. So let's behave like the player now. So at this point, they're going to think they can go. So let's try and do that while the other one's coming in. Because there's nothing stopping a player doing this, so we should assume they will do it. And what I'm hoping is that the other guy gets there as I get down to the end to make it really obvious what's going on. Yep, there he is. That's perfect. That's what you like to see, some nice busyness. I'll just start him stopping while I fix these points. That one's fine, and that one, and we can go. Now, while I would normally do 5 or 6 test runs, if this one plays all the way through without any problems, I'll publish it just so you can see that. And you might think the game will do the exact same thing every single time you play it, but because of the bugs, it doesn't. I'm sure it's meant to. This must have gone on for a while. My coffee's cold. Let's get some more fang going on. Nearly at Clyde. Just to make conversation, I've started putting a script together for a tutorial to help people new to Train Simulator who have no idea about trains. So it's going to aim to teach all of the basic things that you need to know in a very, very simplistic way that I'm sure lots of real rail fans will go, that's a bit crappy. Is one of you killing a bird?
No, I've got a blue jay on my railing that's just going absolutely nuts.
It's nice that it's come to say hello.
I'm actually thinking it's the same one that crashed into my window a few months ago.
So it's probably gone, damn human. Despite your best efforts, I'm still alive, see?
Well, that was the effort to save him.
Yeah. Oh, he's come back to say thank you. It's quite possible. We had to net all of our fruit trees yesterday because...
peanuts and berries on.
well, that's nice of him. Yeah, we had to net our fruit trees because these lovely lorikeets came and nipped off all of the new buds. So thanks for that. I actually want fruit on those trees. I was actually just thinking to myself that this would be a good one to use for tutorials because its air brake gauges actually work properly. So many locomotives in the game, the gauges don't actually show what they should show. Alright. And of course we looked left and right, there we go. Yep, no trains.
Crash.
All those little bits of freight and stuff that you see sitting on the side. Oh, look at that. My eldest son is now playing the Elder Scrolls V. It's good to know, isn't it? I'll have to tell him that came out in the stream. He'll probably laugh at that.
Nothing wrong with that game.
He likes it.
Massive storyline behind that.
Well, it's like Final Fantasy that I call Never-Ending Story. It's only final till the next one comes out. Oma or electricians, get off here. Did that joke have good sparks?
Yeah, ha, ha, ha.
I'm going to put a laugh button on my stream deck.
Don't sock me.
Now, Conquered Stop appears to have come back, which is good. Occasionally I think it'd be fun to be a games tester, and then I think about running the same thing over and over and over again. I think if at the end of it you just want to pull your eyeballs out.
And you have to test every single outcome.
Yeah, games testers don't really. There's too many.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't. Maybe they should, but they don't.
Trust us, they don't.
Yeah. Did you pick up Train Sim World 2 for free yet, Roy? When it was out last week?
Yes, I did.
I'll start giving you a list of bugs then. You can go find them.
Thanks.
Now, what they basically do is simulation testing. So without someone sitting at the computer playing the game, and they do some of that testing as well, but without someone sitting there, they've got the computers just emulating the whole game running for the whole day, running through the whole timetable. Which means they miss really obvious things like the crossbucks being sideways on that sign back there. In the latest game that's coming out on Friday in Australia, Thursday in the Northern Hemisphere, there's a whole station missing that they forgot about.
That's for the DLC. You have to pay extra for that.
Yeah, maybe they'll add it back in when they put the Acela one out. It's interesting, Michael, how much in the streams they've tried to avoid talking about an Acela DLC until Matt just started blabbing on about it. And then he goes, oh, not that we're planning anything like that. It's like, yeah, sure you're not. So here's those boxcars that we put in the platform.
Present.
Yeah, I'm sure. And this time the scenario shouldn't unceremoniously end, so we should actually get to pick up our passengers. I'm blinding them. She's telling me we're late. Looking at the watch. Here, watch. This time they'll get in.
How dare you?
Oh, is it really going to have that fine an adjustment on the stopping point? Alright, now they'll get in. No, they won't.
Hey, what? Nothing to do with you.
Nah, they want another train to come. I go, nah, we've heard about this guy.
Another train.
It hasn't actually recognised my stop. Oh, I know what's going on. Hang on. It's me. I'm dumb. You have to press a button. Now they're getting in. I totally forgot about that. You've got to load your passengers.
Now they're getting a lot of exercise too.
Yep. Where'd he come from?
He got off by the looks of it.
Yeah. I didn't think there was anybody in it. There's another one.
There's another one.
Yeah, it's time to go anyway. That's what I love about lazy train people. Those train bells have been running for ages, but they didn't need to do that. Oh yeah, and there's our moo carriages that we put over there. I should have loaded them actually, for thinking about it. Because if I'd loaded them, they would have been going, And if you've ever heard the moo carriages on this route, I'm pretty sure... Speeding? I'm pretty sure they actually are just someone going, moo. Because they don't really sound like cows to me. Oh, there it is in the distance on the right-hand side. Kilgore. Sounds like a great name for an Irish beer. Kilgore Lager. Kilgore Stout. If I was still into homebrew, I'd make a Kilgore Stout. Go on, game, you're making the cars that aren't there wait. I do like the wig-wag signals. Three miles to Bancroft. We should see our other train shortly. I'm just slowing down because I want to see the other one actually go. If I go through there too early, we won't see it leave. There's our other train. So he has actually already departed, I think. He's sitting at a signal. So we should see him go now. There he goes. Wow, is he in a hurry? It's amazing how the AI trains can drive through points at full speed and they don't derail. Coming up on our next stop of Bancroft, heading into the orchard areas around what would have been Walnut Creek. Brakes on this thing are too good. Welcome to Bancroft, in the middle of nowhere, destination of your dreams. If you're lucky, you might get a job as a fruit picker. I think I left this one at a long stop, didn't I? Alright, now we've got to head down a very short distance until we get to this stop down here. It's funny that we have to stop twice in such quick succession, but... Hey, wow, there's a passenger. Checking for trains. And while it would be fun to put one on there, it would rely on them having whatever chain I chose to put on, because you can't put one of these on there because there's no overhead. Sorry passengers, even though you're all gathered here, end of the line. This is the end of today's run. And did it just stop me in the middle of the other track? Look at that. All right then. So we've completed the scenario. And even though it's a bit daggy that it stops there, let's just go into build. And we've got our... So we're going to rename that. But let's just clone it because it works. And what I really would do is fix that end marker, but I'm just conscious how long this stream's gone, so... And I am going to publish it. And I'm going to do something naughty because I'm not going to test it after I've made this change. Actually, it doesn't take that long to run, does it? Driver. Very good. All right, let's fix that stopping point at Los Juntas then, since we're going to have to do it anyway. Because if we don't... Because it's stopping me right in the middle of the tracks there, which is a bit shit. You guys going to watch while I play it again? So I can test it. Strobing going west. So I think if we put in a passenger instruction and we put that in at Las Juntas and we want to unload, I think that's unload everybody. Yep, I want to unload everybody there. That should do it, I think. Everything else worked okay, so I'm just going to leave the rest of it alone. Although I will check our... I'll check our time. So that one's 5 seconds. That one's 5 seconds. And we don't need to stop there. And that one's 5 seconds. All right. Save. Yes. Go. Go. Restart. This time for sure, Ali. So we'll quickly play this through once and then I'll show you how to publish. Just checking spelling. It's kind of a mean briefing, but there you go. So let's see what happens if we just try and drive now, because that's what some people are going to do. Oh, reverser. So if you drive now, you miss out on seeing him leave, but that's okay. Actually, I know how to fix that. If I put a passenger thing there, quit. I'm going to put a pickup passenger instruction there. And I'm not cloning it because we don't know if it worked. So back into the timetable again for our player train. And I'll put in a pickup passenger instruction. And actually, let me fill it out before... No, let me just do it. Move it up. And we want to do this at Port Chicago. And we're sitting in Port Chicago Station, aren't we? So we don't want to unload anybody. We can do 35. That'll be fine. Then we'll see the other train leave. Oh, nothing crashed. Famous last word, says Michael.
You're having a good run.
Don't say that.
Yep.
Don't say that. So now we'll load our passengers.
Over the next 5 minutes, don't you?
Yeah, of course it will. It's a bit like my last track patrol on Puffing Billy. When the bloke I was out with, and he's an old guy, right? He's been around before. He knows these rules. He turns to me and he says, I'm surprised with this wind. We haven't seen any trees down. And then we come around the corner and there's a horizontal forest on the track. It's like, dude, don't say it. All right, so we've loaded our passengers. We're not going to see him leave, but I can live with that. I could have just made our passenger stop longer, I suppose. Now, we should see... We do have red signals up there, and we can see our other guy coming in. So timing-wise, it's still working. In fact, he's sitting in a signal too, because the other guy's only just left. So not waiting for the other one to leave actually adds to the gameplay. I like this. And the other guy's moving. Couldn't time that much better, really. Let's just check our points. We should be able to change them now. No, not yet. Now? Yes. Okay. Should actually have some passengers now. I do, look at that. Off to Clyde. Again. When I was reading up about this route when I first bought it, and I started Googling for it, I found a phrase somewhere on one of the sites that said that while the line had an 80-mile-an-hour speed limit, most drivers didn't exceed 50. And I just like that word, most, because that meant some didn't. Are you glad you're not living in New South Wales, Roy?
Yeah, we're not out of it yet either.
I know, but our numbers look like our lockdown might actually end within the next 2 to 3 weeks, I would suggest. Our brethren in the other state, though, are a little bit stuffed.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be getting out on Thursday.
No.
Not the way our numbers are going up as well.
Nope. If you're wondering, other people who are viewing, our government still has the mentality of total suppression, not acceptance, and yeah, okay, some of us will die, like lots of other countries suddenly seem to have gone into. All right.
Apparently, one COVID case is too much.
No, they let one go. And then look what happened. Almost at our next stopping point by the railway line. I once knew a tram driver who felt that if he locked up the wheels at the mandatory stop points so the computer in the tram thought he'd stopped, he was fine.
Don't worry about the track.
Nah. Full speed. Here he comes. Bit of flat neck going on. Corner.
I think someone's having a cup of tea.
Sounds that way. Yeah. Black with none, thanks, mate. We're nearly back at the station. Can we resist the electrical jokes? There's a potential undercurrent here.
Be positive.
I think I almost derailed that. All the passengers at Oma would be fully charged. And off we go. Into Concord for our next passenger stop. Full speed, Captain. She cannot take any more. Lovely high-res grass there. Wonder how many will get out after that high-speed run. It's like, oh, I'm going to wait for the next one. This guy's a maniac. One of the interesting things I read about this was that the city of Concord imposed a 20-mile-an-hour limit on all train traffic, which lasted right up until the 70s when BART came in and completely ignored it. Remembers to press the button this time, and in they get. Better hurry up, magically materializing people. Like a true train driver, shut the door in their face and go. What's a little bit of speeding between friends? You just knew he was going to run through that, didn't you? How are we doing on our task list? I'm getting ticks everywhere. It's also something I like to check during the play testing, just to make sure it is recognising the things are getting done. If it's not recognising it, the only way to fix it is to delete the instruction and add it again. 3 miles to Bancroft. Warp 10. Should better eat up this 3 miles pretty quickly. Now we know the train works okay at Maynard. Hopefully he's already sitting at the signal. Yep, so he's already departed and he's sitting at his red signal there. So we'll get some visual interest shortly. Suppose I could have added a stop at Maynard. Haven't seen him leave yet. No, he still hasn't gone. Just make sure he does go. No, he's still just sitting there. Not that it really matters for gameplay, I suppose. Oh, we're early. He doesn't go till 7:09. Now, if I was building this properly, I'd go back and add a stop at main up, but I'm not going to do that because I don't really want this stream to go through to 11:30. Well, brakes better be good. Brakes are amazing, in fact. What if he's left? There he goes. You guys have got the same problem I did. I forgot to put my phone on silent. And someone keeps...
Actually, well, I also got the alert on my computer.
Yep. Yeah. My mother keeps sending me messages. I'm ignoring her. Who said that? That wasn't me. No.
I didn't hear you say anything.
No, neither did I. It's not recorded or published on the internet or anything. No. Mind you, I'd be vaguely surprised if she knew what YouTube was. Alright, coming in up to our check for trains stop. No trains. Surprise. It's because I didn't put any there. And then we'll find out if adding that passenger stop helped with the premature scenario end before you get in the platform. I'm hoping it will. Because the only other way to fix that would be to move the platform marker. Yep. Solved that one. Jeez, the stop's a long way down, isn't it? We'll just stop next to the people because we're nice. And load them in, and that'll be the end of the scenario, and then I'll show you how to publish. And if I get really excited, I'll go back and add a stop at Maynard. And republish it later. But I'd have to get pretty excited because then I'd have to drive it again too. Well done, you have completed the scenario successfully. Yay! Alright then. So if we go into, try and remember if you do it from here, you do it from the other one. Do it from the other one, don't you? From the build menu. It's one of those funny things, you don't use it very often. So we want to do a scenario, and yes, I have built a route called Drag Race. It's 100 miles of 4 parallel tracks. I haven't published it, but it's fun. There's our scenario. We'll give it a bit of a briefing.
There's an idea for you. Have 4 tracks all going into one. See if it gets there first.
You know, I could put some points at the end of it. Trouble is, by the time they get to the end of it, they're usually going pretty quick and they won't get through the points anyway. All right, now we do visibility public, country is USA, loco type is electric, and you agree to the random terms and conditions, and then you go publish, and this is where you really cross your fingers, because sometimes it just goes, yeah, nah, whoops, almost forgot. That's a good enough screenshot for that one. It's got an interurban in it. That'll do. Publish. Now we wait. Ooh. It's... Yay, it worked! Okay, so this is now available on Steam Workshop for people to come and look at. So we'll just add the DLC, because they do need the Sacramento DLC. And that's done. And we've got a screenshot, so that's fine. And that's it. That's all we really need to do. It is now there. And I can almost guarantee you, just because I've got a couple of followers who absolutely love this route, this will probably be played in the next few hours. So that's kind of cool. So we've gone through, we've started with nothing, and we've created a scenario and got it all the way through to running on the game, making it available for people. So I kind of enjoy that. That gives you an idea of just how quickly you can make a scenario, because we started this at 8:30, a little over 2 hours ago, and we have made and reasonably tested. I would normally do a few more runs. And we've got a fairly complex scenario going with lots of traffic. So it's not the ones I usually do where I put in lots of shunting and things. That gets actually quite hairy, so I didn't want to show that. But if there's interest, we could do one with some more advanced techniques for shunting and managing the track and doing some of the other things that you have to do. But anyway, that's all I had for today. So that brings us pretty much to an end of these things. Next week, on Tuesday or Wednesday for Australians at 3 a.m, as Michael reminded me just before this started, Train Sim World 2 is getting its massive update. So if you're like me and you've got about 20 routes, they were about 15 gig each. No, sorry, they were about 20 gig each. They've come down to half that, so around 10 or so gig each. That's still going to be a pretty big download. So I reckon I'd leave your computer running Steam and just go away for a while. And then on Friday, they've got their new Boston Sprinter route coming out on the season pass if you choose to buy it that way, which I'm quite looking forward to, because from the streams from Dovetail so far, it actually looks really good. I know most of their streams have concentrated around the busy end, but we'll see what the other end looks like. We don't think we've really gotten there that much in their streams, because we keep looking at the busy bit, but that's okay. So it's been really great having people along this morning. Thank you to Michael and Roy, who have been the disembodied voices in the chat in the background. And see you next week running Boston. I'll probably do some unscheduled streams around the new update, particularly around what stuff works with Raildriver and what stuff doesn't in the new one. So I'll probably do some of those during the week, just see what my family lets me get away with. Because kind of have to ask permission because they have to be relatively quiet while I'm doing this. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, folks, and at the very least, see you next Sunday. And if you want to watch some of the ad hoc stuff, just keep an eye out for notifications. Enjoy yourselves, and thank you very much to Michael and Roy, and thank you very much to the people who are watching. See you later. All right then. That brings us to a close for today. Thanks for watching the stream, and I hope you enjoyed it. I welcome any and all feedback. Feel free to comment on the video. Constructive criticism is welcome, especially if I've got something wrong. I stream every Sunday morning starting at 8:30 AM, and I also do ad hoc streams from time to time during the week. Please subscribe and click notify to avoid missing out. Subscribing helps me by helping me see what content is good and how it helps the channel grow, or doesn't, as the case may be. So a little bit of info about me. I drive train simulators, but unlike some, that isn't my only railway experience. Today I operate on a preserved railway doing track inspections and operating as second person on the footplate in trains. I've driven steam, diesel, sparks and trams from time to time across several rail networks. I understand how trains work and how complex train forces enforce certain train handling procedures, especially around acceleration and braking. Generally when I'm driving a simulator, I try to be prototypical. I don't have a lot of in-cab video because we cannot do it while moving, but here's a short clip of me doing the cab half of a standing brake test to ensure continuity across the train. I build model trains in traditional means and have an ON30 logging railway and a Lego trains layout because I can. So yes, I'm not just a gunzel, I'm a proper train nut. Thanks for watching and see you next time.